The information presented in this podcast is for entertainment and informational purposes only. The views and opinions expressed by the guest are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the podcast host or production team. The host has not independently verified the accuracy of the information provided by the guest. Therefore, the host and production team accept no legal responsibility or liability for any statements or opinions expressed in the podcast. Listeners are encouraged to do their own research and exercise their own judgment when interpreting the content of the podcast. Hello everyone, welcome back to Volleyballers Sharing Stories, Spilling Tea. I'm your host Chris Voth, and today we have Eric Loeppky on the show. Eric grew up in Steinbach, Manitoba, Canada before going to Trinity Western University. There he did it all. He's won national championships, he's been MVP, he's been Player of the Year, and that allowed him to crack the Italian professional market, playing there for a bunch of seasons. But it wasn't until last summer that he had his breakthrough season with Canada, being instrumental in qualifying the team for the Olympics for the third year in a row. After that summer, he went back to Italy, playing for Monza, one of the top teams in the world. That team made it to the league final, and Eric played both left and right side. This last summer with Canada, he was a big part of the team making it to the VNL final tournament and just finished his Olympic debut in Paris. There's plenty more to come for this 26-year-old Canadian superstar. Discover the mystery and dynamic style of this Canadian volleyball icon, Eric Loeppky, with David's Tees Mystery Bag. Just like Eric, who's renowned for his versatility in serving, spiking, blocking, defense, and reception, this mystery bag is packed with tees for every occasion. No matter the situation, Eric always makes the perfect play, reflecting the diverse and delightful surprises that you'll find in every mystery bag. Unveil the unexpected and savor the variety, just as Eric masterfully navigates the court. Get your mystery bag today and taste the essence of selection and excellence. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This really helps out the channel to spill even more tea in the future. It's completely free, and I really hope you enjoy this next episode of Volleyballers Sharing Stories, Spilling Tea. Canadian legend, Olympian. Just the roster was just announced, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And so for this episode, I didn't pick a specific tee. Because of Eric, I picked the mystery bag, which I think would coincide well with not only your play on the court, but you as a person.
Okay.
And we'll get into that. So if you want to do the honors of opening it up and selecting a tee.
So you don't know what kind it is either?
I have no idea.
Wow.
This is my first ever. I don't even know what kind. If it's in a bag, I actually I don't check it
all
all
right,
the time.
all right. There's a bunch in here. So do I pick? Should I just pick one?
That's up to you. I don't know if you want to pick your favorite one or if you want to
Right. Here
just
we
go
got
with whatever.
a zesty stomach soother. Spicy, sweet, and comforting. Super ginger. I'm going to try that one.
Nice. Which one's for me?
Oh, man. Fruity, tropical, and refreshing. There you go.
Fruity, what are you trying to say?
Nothing.
That's awesome. Oh, this is a nice tea bag too.
Oh, yeah, wow.
It's like cloth.
David's tea is legit. There we go.
Nice.
Perfect.
You like these cups?
Yeah, I do. Oh, those are custom. No way.
At the end, we'll play a game, and
Okay.
if you win the cup.
I win the cup. Oh,
cup.
man. I would love that.
So part of the mystery behind Eric, maybe first I'll get some background information just for the description of the podcast.
Sure.
So some of the things that I don't know here. Home city.
Like right now? or
This is exactly how I was hoping you would answer
Yes.
it. Like you're going through the border and they ask you, where's your home?
I struggle with that, actually. On the way here, I said Italy, and I should have said Canada because it's just easier. But I'll say Right now, home base is Minneapolis.
Minneapolis.
Yeah.
So none of the above. Not even Italy, not even Canada.
No,
Minneapolis.
I'll just say that because I have a house there, and that feels
Okay.
like home right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a great reason and position.
In volleyball,
Yes.
and outside.
Outside.
Yes.
Not specifying left or right, just outside.
And outside. Yes.
Okay. Jersey number.
Number 80. I'm rocking number 80 with the national team. I think I'm gonna switch to it overseas eventually.
Okay.
But overseas, I've been number 4 whenever I can.
And what are the significance of both of those numbers?
They're actually both football related. I love number 4 growing up because I love Brett Favre. He was my favorite like quarterback. Um, and then number 80 as well. I played football and I loved watching the NFL Network. It was like a weird thing I liked to do as a kid. I'd come home from school, instead of watching cartoons, I watched like the 100 greatest players of all time. And yeah, super random. But Jerry Rice was one of my favorite. And yeah, number 80. So
Okay.
yeah.
Really cool. Serve. Is it a spin or a float?
It's both. I do both, I think. I was just talking to Thomas about that yesterday. He said, you have good efficiency with both, so we do both. And I was like, okay.
And I don't know what else, what other ambiguities you have in your life. Maybe like favorite child or something. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Okay, I don't know. Is there anything else that
No,
could go either way?
no, I don't think so. No.
Okay, that's great. Congratulations again on making the Olympic roster.
Thank you.
You worked so hard. You deserve it. You were leading the team in the qualifier and throughout the summer. So great.
Thank you.
What does that mean to you to go to the Olympics?
It means so much. It's a real surreal time, I think, right now as we're filming this. Just with like leading up to everything, starting to get some of the Olympic gear, and we're heading out in a couple days. So I think it's really all coming together. When we qualified last year, it was kind of like I can't believe we like qualified. But now we have this like waiting period of like 8 or 9 months, whatever it was, to actually get to the game. So being here finally is pretty special.
That's great. And does that waiting period like cause some anticipation, or were you wanting to relax after that qualification?
Yeah, that was the tough part. Is the qualification was so close to the start of the pro season. Like I think I was playing league games 9 days after
Wow.
after playing 7 games in 9 days. Like we were like, I came home for a couple days, packed up everything with the family, flew to Italy, started training, and I felt like it took me a full month to like fully recover, like while playing, just because it was such a heavy load. Yeah, so it I think it was a big motivator for the year, like always connecting back to that, like the Olympics are at the end of this year. So I think it ended up being a positive in that way.
And what are you looking forward to most at the Olympics?
Oh man, I don't know. I think just the experience in general. Just with seeing other athletes there, I think it's so cool, like meeting other athletes who are at the top of their sport, and getting to meet them, and hopefully watch some other like sports. I would love to go check out some other sports. I think that'd be really cool. And then just the whole like opening ceremonies, and like the Canada House, and having your friends and family there is super super special.
So is there any athlete from Canada or from any other country that you're hoping that you'll connect with when you're there?
I mean, I would love to meet anyone on like the USA basketball team, but I feel like they're going to be staying at their own place somewhere, and I don't even know. I heard the basketball games are maybe going on like north of the city, so I don't even know if I'll get a chance to, but I think it'd be cool to see like Djokovic or something, like one of the big tennis players, to play. That would be pretty special. And I'd like to, like maybe there's some Canadian players like the what's his name, DeGrasse, the track and field guy. That'd be really cool. And just like as I feel like, because we're just in Gatineau, like it's not like we get to. There's no like Olympic training center. So just I think in general, chatting with other Canadian athletes who and just hearing kind of their story, I'm really interested in, just to see like what their years are like, where do they train, do they play outside of Canada for anything, or do they just train in Canada the whole time? Yeah, I'd love to just like learn and meet people.
That's awesome. And so at the Olympics, there's going to be a lot of pressure,
Yeah.
whether it's a game that you're supposed to win or where you're the underdog.
hmm
Um, are there tricks that you're preparing for to deal with that pressure?
Yeah, so I work with a really good mental coach. I've worked with him for since my second year in Padova. I started working with him, and he's really changed kind of my whole outview on just volleyball. And I think with my kind of career, he's been a huge reason why I think I've been going like this in the last couple of years. Um, so yeah, a big thing we talk about is just like kind of everything that I have up until this point, like looking back on other big games that I've been in, those qualifying games this year in Italy, like all those things have like prepped me, I think, for this moment. Like we've all gotten here for a reason, as a team, and I think just really at the end of the day, it's another volleyball tournament. Like it's the same court, it's 9 by 9, it's the same ball, it's the same game we know how to play. So I think just trying to focus on those things to stay grounded is going to be really huge.
Okay. And are there things that make you more nervous? Like, is it when you start the game? Is it the end of the game? If there's, let's say, the USA basketball team comes to watch you play USA, like, is there something that you think would make you more nervous?
Hmm. I think, yeah, I think those just leading up to the game is when I get nervous. Like once the game kind of starts, I feel like I usually let the nerves go pretty well. But on the other hand, it's the game, so I don't know exactly how I'll handle it. But I didn't, yeah, and I think depending how we do, like if it's an elimination match or if we need to win to advance, any of those things would probably play a bigger factor. But I'm really going to be focusing on and just staying grounded and just focusing on the things that I know I can do and and that are in my control, and the things that are out of my control, like the environment, the fans, all that stuff, is I'm just gonna kind of let them be.
Awesome. So I was hoping, first, you want to try some tea?
Yes,
Maybe.
let's do it.
I don't
Cheers.
know. Cheers.
Awesome.
Let's go. I don't even remember which one this is. Fruit infusion. That's right. A little
This is really good.
homophobic.
This is this is really good. Spicy, sweet, and it is comforting. Indeed.
This one's really nice too, actually. Good choice.
You got the coasters too? Wow.
Oh yeah, let's go.
Wow.
We spare no expense.
Yeah.
I only have two of them though, so I can't be dishing them out too easily.
That's all right. That's all right.
So part of the podcast is, first I want to ask questions that people can relate to,
Sure.
both for if they're in U Sport right now or if they're going overseas, and kind of things that can help them.
Awesome.
I think I told you about my book that will be coming out,
Mm-hmm.
which is just to give the pro experience to people.
Yeah. When is it coming out?
Hopefully in December.
Okay.
They
Awesome.
said December. I'm trying to push it up as much as I can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Make like an Elon Musk type
Yeah.
reveal date.
There you go.
But yeah, it's going pretty slow right now.
Okay.
So I don't know. Probably December, maybe in January. I don't know.
That's all right.
But I think it's really cool to share the pro experience, because people have this glamorous view of what it is.
Yep.
And I'm hoping that we can take off or look behind the curtain and see
Yeah.
kind of an area that no one gets to see unless
Totally.
they're over there traumatizing themselves.
That's
So-
that's such a great point. And it's not what everyone maybe thinks it is, So that's really
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah, and so one of the first questions that people have to deal with is when to go play pro.
Mm.
So for you, you left early. You still
Yes.
had eligibility left in U Sport,
Mm-hmm.
and you went early. Can
Yep.
you take us through the process of kind of that decision and how that came up?
Sure. So this was 2018 summer for me when I actually signed with an agent. So it was after my second year of university. It was my first time being called up with the A group because of a couple injuries. Stephen Marr and Riley Barnes were injured going to the World Championship prep. And we went to Poland and we played at the Huber Wagner Invitational. And it was me, Gord, Nick, and Durako were the outsides going. And Gord ended up straining his calf, and Durako got sick. So I had to play the first game against Poland in Poland. It was my first ever experience with the A group. It was insane. It was like the craziest. People were tailgating, all that stuff. Anyways, I was doing okay. I was holding my own. We played Poland, France, and I think Russia. So like big teams. And I had to play in all of them because guys were hurt. So it was a pretty cool experience. But I ended up signing with agent, and they were kind of, you know how they are, pressuring a little bit for me to sign. My coach Ben obviously didn't want me to, and Tiga at the time, who was the coach, did want me to. Um, and I was pretty torn, and I was trying to process it my own way, but I think I kind of left it up to fate, and I decided that if I'm selected to go like with the team to World Championships, because Mara ended up rejoining us, um, I think I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna take a contract. I'm gonna go. I was Latina, I believe, Chisterna. I was gonna go play, and if I didn't, then I would go back and finish my school for at least that year. Um, so I ended up not making the team. Mara ended up kind of coming back and being healthy, and Antigua sent me back. So I went back to Trinity for my third year, and I kind of my kind of like thought was, okay, if I'm gonna go back for my third, I might as well go back for my fourth because I've got 3 years of schooling down. I need to at least do one more to probably finish my degree. If I don't go back for my fourth, I'm gonna have to like actually go back again one day. So I negotiated with Ben and I said, hey, if you want me to come back for my fourth, I need you to help me like get some scholarship for summer school. So he was like, sure. So um, they got me, yeah, he helped me out with some courses. So in between that third and fourth year, I took a bunch of courses, summer school, and then I took a little bit extra and then did some more in the spring to get like, now I'm like 2 courses away from my degree and I can do those remotely whenever I want. So um, that was kind of my logic and kind of why I went back to Trinity. And I told him that I was going to leave after 4. Like that was always the plan. I wasn't going to stay for 5. I felt like 4 was enough. And during that fourth year, I was like, I knew it was time. I knew it was time to go. So that was kind of the whole behind the scenes with me like choosing to go pro. And looking back at it now, I'm really glad I did it physically. I don't think I was ready physically to handle the load of pro. Um, After my second year, I had a lot of knee issues, and I just wasn't strong. Like I was just a skinny 19-year-old kid, um, and for me, that was a big thing that I had to figure out over my third and fourth year was kind of how to manage my body and like properly prepare myself for the grueling season, as you know, that is pro. And because they don't care so much about managing your body over there, you kind of have to learn how to do it on your own. So yeah, looking back at it now, I'm super glad for that reason, and I also really enjoyed my third and fourth year, just like being a college kid and enjoying life. So yeah.
I also think what's interesting about your career in particular is you went immediately from U Sport to the top league in the world. You went right into Italy,
Yeah.
and there you're getting exposed to some of the best players in the world.
Hmm.
What was that like, knowing that you were going to go to Italy, the mecca of volleyball, and how did you prepare yourself physically and mentally to kind of deal with all those pressures?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, so after my last year, um, so my agent's Italian, and they were really confident they could get me on an Italian team, and the goal was just to start an Italian team or a team in Poland, but it ended up being Ravenna was the team I went to my first year. And I actually had another Canadian with me, Brandon Coppers, and a bunch of other young guys who have gone on now to do some pretty sweet things. So was a cool group of guys. But yeah, going in, I had no idea what I was getting into. I knew the areas I needed to improve on just from being able to train with the senior team in the summers. And I think that helped me prepare for it for sure. If I would have had no training with the senior team, I think I would have had a definitely tougher time adjusting. Um, so yeah, a couple of the things that I felt my gaps were was reception and just overall consistency. In youth sports, you can get a team with one, maybe the top teams have two, maybe three, like challenging servers who are going to actually like challenge you in reception. And most of the other servers, I feel like, were either floats or like a pretty average spin serve that you could take care of pretty easily. In the Italian league, I would say it's the opposite. You have like five, maybe the whole team is like bombing from the baseline, and you have to pass well the whole game. And that's the toughest thing. I'm like, okay, yeah, I can pass these balls, but then can I do it again and again and again and for 5 sets if we even go to five? And I think that was yeah, that was the biggest struggle, I think, just adjusting to that. And then just yeah, oh man, this is cool reflecting on this because now I feel super comfortable, I would say, in the Italian league. But those first years I was just like, don't get aced, just pop it up hopefully on the 3 meter line. and and yeah, that's like the coach is like, okay, good, if we get it on like exclamative, like that's good job, Eric, like kind of thing. And I just like yeah. And I almost felt like a kid just being tossed in the water and trying to learn how to swim. um, but yeah, thankfully I actually had a pretty decent year for my first year, and kind of held my own. So yeah, that was a big adjustment, and something I'll never forget. Just those feelings of playing like Lube the first time, and there's Leal and Simone and Bruno and Lucarelli, and I'm just like, oh man, like these guys, like I've been watching all your videos for like whatever 6 7 years, and they have no idea who I am. And it's yeah, it's pretty surreal. It's pretty cool.
That's great. And so there were a lot of adjustments on court. Were there things that you had to work on or that were difficult off of the court as well?
Yeah, I think so. Physically, I just started training knees over toes program that year, 20 2020, like January was my, I was still at Trinity, so kind of the last couple semesters there, and that really helped my knees. So I was doing his program throughout that year, and just like staying healthy was the biggest thing. Like if you can stay healthy, I think that's a huge battle. Like if you can stay healthy, you're gonna just get more reps. You're gonna be able to improve more. You're gonna be able to train more. So so being able to figure that out early on, I'm super grateful for, because I've seen a lot of athletes who maybe didn't have problems when they were young, but they get to a certain age where they do have problems and they maybe don't know what to do. And I feel like I was fortunate enough to figure out some things early on to give me kind of answers almost when things did pop up. So yeah, but so physically off the court, like getting in the weight room, I was just super dialed in that year. Like with I would go like 4 or 5 times a week. Like I would just go early before trainings and do little weight circuits. I would do stuff at home. Um, I actually like yeah, I would. Have you ever seen me walk backwards, like do reverse sledding? So I had these gymnastic rings, and I would hook them up to my van. That was my car, and I would just like pull it backwards in the parking lot, like just like go one way and then hook it up on this side and go the other way, and just like do this like a crazy person. My teammates thought I was nuts, but and it was funny too because the van I got was like a 1992 like Ford. It had a huge dent in the side. It was it had like construction vests inside. Like I don't know where they got it from, but it was like 30 years old. And yeah, that was my car too. So that was humbling. Like I was like, but still so pumped to have a car. I'm like, this is
Right.
my first car. Like this is my car. I get to use it. And I'm just like bumping around everywhere with this huge diesel van. It cost like 100 euros a week in fuel. It was insane. But yeah, I think that was just a year of experiments for me as well. I'm gonna take a sip quick, but even with diet, I was just like, all right, I'm gonna go all in. Like in university, I didn't. I like tried to eat well, but it's hard. Like you're so busy, you have no money. Like I was just like trying to live on a budget and not go crazy into debt. So I was just eating like Wendy's and whatever. But when I went pro, I was like, okay, I'm gonna like take my diet seriously. So I tried everything. I tried plant-based for like 4 weeks and just kind of evaluated how I felt. I tried like keto. I tried carnivore-ish. I tried just like high carb, low carb. I was just fasting. I was doing everything because I wanted to be all in on like just uh, just being a professional athlete. And because of the pandemic and the Olympics being pushed back, I was like, maybe I can make the roster in Tokyo. Like I have a better chance now that I get a year of pro under my belt than I was coming from university. So yeah, I was all in that year. It's cool that actually some of these memories are just being popped up as we're chatting. But
What did it mean to have Coppers there with you on the team?
it was great. It was great. He was at the time he had done 2 years of pro already, and it was still like a lot of pandemic rules, so we couldn't go out and do much. And just to have him and his fiance at the time, now wife, to be there to hang out with us was really really nice to have another Canadian and familiar face.
Yeah, I bet. And so you brought your wife over there as well that first year?
Yes, we got married like a month before we went over there, and she was with me until December because she played still. She played in Athletes Unlimited, that first league that started in the U.S. It started that year, so she left in January to go play, and then I was by myself till March. Yeah.
Okay. And were there any like visa problems getting her there as well?
Um, we, yeah, that was a weird time. We traveled with like a folder of all our documents of like marriage certificates, all these things because like you could really only travel together if you were family at that time. So yeah, thankfully there wasn't any issues her getting into the country or anything because she was kind of all under my visa in Italy. So yeah, thankfully no issues. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
that's
all good.
great.
Yeah.
I know that for some people that can be a real barrier, especially in certain countries.
Yes, you've had
Traveling with a spouse too can be a nightmare. So
yeah, you've had some problems, right?
a few problems,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But especially when people are bringing over another Canadian, and then like for
Yes.
Jesse, for example,
Oh yeah.
that can be really even for him just to get his visa is complicated, and then
Yes.
having to get someone else over there just adds a whole nother layer to it.
Yeah, yeah, oh man. That's what like playing in Italy, they're kind of, you know, they go under the table with a lot of stuff. They don't go, they're like, we'll figure it out. Like, don't worry. Like, we know some people. And I'm like, all right, like I'm cool with it. Like, as long as I'm on your side and you're gonna figure it out, like I'm okay.
And does that happen? Because your first year, I think your team finished ninth, and then you
Yeah,
finished 11th a couple times, and then just recently second.
yeah.
Um,
No in between.
so yeah, huge acceleration there
Yeah,
in the team performance. But does that happen at all levels where teams are kind of operating a little shady, or
for
is it
sure.
just the lower teams that need to try and cut corners to try and get any advantage they can?
I would say it happens at the top teams, but they just probably do it more efficiently. Like they've just done it before and it's maybe less sketchy, but it's for sure going on. Like this is a good story, but it's one time my wife, her name's Sam, she was driving with a friend and she didn't have her license on her and she didn't have a residency permit. Like she forgot her wallet. And she got pulled over by the police and they're like, yep, license and registration, whatever, please. And do you have your like permit and whatever? And she's like, oh man, like she's panicking, she's pretending to look through her stuff. Like she knows she doesn't have it, but she's just buying time to just like, okay, like what am I gonna do here? And then she just like says in Italian, like my husband plays for Taranto Prisma. Prisma was like the big sponsor of the nonprofit of our president. So, and as soon as she said that, the police officer's like, "Oh, sorry," and just walked away. Didn't say anything, no questions asked, and that was it. Like, just drove on. So that kind of stuff, like, I think happens all the time. And I don't. We were in the South that year, so probably more likely to. But even this year, like, usually the owners of the clubs are, I feel like, have their foots in a lot of things. So, or feet in a lot of things. So, yeah.
Yeah, crazy. And if there's other stories and you don't want to name names, that's also okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want you to feel like you need to expose everybody all at once.
No, no.
But that's also totally okay.
Yes,
So
of course. This is a spilling tea podcast.
right, exactly. So what about, I know a lot of presidents have had been arrested for tax fraud or
Sure.
kind of breaking the laws either with money related or trying to find a way to
Yeah.
launder money. Do you think anything like that happens in Italy as well?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Oh yeah. For sure. I would say, yeah, Monza's pretty clean, I would say, for clubs. Like, they're pretty legit. Um, but like, even that one year, I was getting paid in 3 different ways. So I had a contract from what the league thought I was getting. They wrote up a contract for Sam as a manager of the team, so she was getting some money, and then they also paid me in cash. Like, the guy would come to the gym with his 2 little body guys and briefcase and long coat once a month, and you knew when he'd come with his little briefcase that it was time to go see him after and get a little envelope and sign something, and you'd be stuff like that. So I think they're moving in the right direction, but yeah, you hear some crazy stories, and just that's the kind of way they've done it for a long time. So yeah.
How do you think Italy compares to other countries with regards to that?
Hmm. So I've only played in Italy, but yeah, I've heard some crazy stories of guys in like Russia and mainly Russia and I don't know. Do you have any experiences like that? Like,
Well, for me, I think our experiences are pretty different. I was
yeah,
playing in leagues that were not as high profile, where the
right,
teams are broke. They're just trying to do anything they can
right,
to even to get your airline ticket. They cut
right.
every corner they can where you have to switch airports in London, collect your bags,
Oh
switch, and it's
no.
like, like things like that where they're trying to save like 50 euros probably.
Right,
And then meanwhile,
right.
the taxi ride is going to be 200. You have to repay for your luggage.
Mm.
And then in that case, actually, it was a friend of mine who had that,
Yeah.
missed his flight. And then because he missed it, his return flight back to Canada also canceled. So they had to
No,
rebook it anyway. So it probably could save them like a couple of euros,
that's
ended up
terrible.
costing them thousands,
That's terrible.
so.
Yeah, I think in Russia there's for sure like I know guys saying like they've come to the change room and there's this guy they've never seen before and he's got just a black garbage bag that he's putting into their locker full of cash. Like, just like, all right, see you later, never see you again. Um, and I feel like leagues like France, Germany, the government's maybe a little more involved. Like, I think they're actually pro leagues on paper, which involves the government a little bit more. So I think if that's the case, they maybe can't get away with as much, I think. But
Yeah, that is wild.
yeah.
And so you can see then the difference between like North American professional sport compared
Oh
to
yeah.
European.
Oh yeah.
Like it's quite different.
It's quite different. Yeah.
Do you, when you're in Europe, I assume it doesn't happen in North America, but when you're in Europe, do people recognize you? Do you feel like a famous person when you're walking around? Do you sign autographs and take pictures, or do you just kind of blend in with everyone?
I mean, I think for the most part, blend in. Maybe this year in Monza a little bit, like when we were having our playoff run, like people in my building are just at the grocery store, and like when we go get gelato, like if they had a connection to the club, like, oh, my daughter plays on the U9 team there, and like, could we take a photo? Stuff like that, but nothing crazy. Maybe maybe a little bit this year actually also because of Ran Takahashi. Like, he had fans flying in from Japan, Thailand, Philippines weekly. Like, every practice there was there was people there just to see him. So, and they like love us because we're just friends with Rand. Like, oh, Eric probably talks to Rand, so like let's just get photos with him, you know? Like that's like a total thing. So, and honestly, speaking of like the most famous I've ever felt would be just recently in Philippines. That was insane. Like the fans there were like crazy. So you'd walk out. You probably saw on Instagram all the time, but you'd walk out and there'd be like this like big fence and then this mob of people just like trying to reach over and like just you to touch them and like take photos, and all the phones they'd give you were already recording a video. So they'd hand you a phone and then you look at it and it's like been recording for 20 seconds and you're just like, oh, hi. Like you just like do something and like anyways, at the back there was like maybe 12 like blow ups of different players on the teams, and me and Art had blow ups in there. And when they needed us to go sign him, so we had to go downstairs up the elevator to just get there. And I was like, okay, like there'll be some fans probably want to whatever, but it'll be fine. So we get out there and they got a team of like 10 bodyguards, like ready to escort us like 100 feet. Like it's not that far, but they're like, all right, you guys ready? I'm like, yeah, like what's going on? They like bust open the doors and they're like surrounding us. They're like pushing people to the side, and me and Art are like jogging behind them, and they're like moving people out the way, and people start screaming and flocking us. And it was like, I had this one like dad just hold his 2-year-old over like for to like touch the 2-year-old. Like I'm like, what is going on? This is insane. So like that's like I've never felt that like that famous, because they were just like, whoa, like this is pretty cool. But yeah, it's kind of my little rant there, but that was a cool story.
Then thinking about your career, would you like any more water, by the way?
No, I'm doing great.
When you think about your career, you're right now at the highest you've ever been.
Yeah.
How do you improve? What is your goal that you're striving for? And so when you at some point retire, think, you know what, like I accomplished what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
What is that goal, and how are you still trying to improve to get to that point?
Yeah, for me, I think my just general goal is to just keep improving. No matter where I am, no matter which team I'm playing for, I think that is like my overall focus. So I like to reassess and reevaluate, and kind of be like, okay, like what's my like lowest hanging fruit? Like what's my next thing to like get better at? Is it something physically? Is it something mentally? Is it a specific skill? Or yeah, anything like that. So I think I like to always be kind of reevaluating with where I'm at, kind of checking in, what's next. So just constantly creating goals. And then as well as like, I think accomplishing things like I'm hoping with this team in Lube in the next couple of years that we can win something. Like I would love to win something. Like this year was with Monza, we got 3 silvers, which is really cool, but that stinks to like lose in the final. I would love to win something and like earn our ticket to Champions League. And so I kind of have those maybe like team accolade goals, but I think the reason why I've kept improving is because I've also had my own individual goals, and I kind of know, and like I know what I need to do to get better. And just for advice for other university kids and high school kids, like you're gonna get that pretty well if you have a decent coach in university or for a club. But that's something that I would encourage you to get better at, like on your own, like for pro, because you're not going to get the same thing like as like a technical thing. Like my coaches overseas, none of them, maybe my one coach I had in my 3rd year, like taught me a little bit of technical stuff. But I think for the most part, they're more concerned with just like performing. They're more concerned with performing because that's what you're paid to do, is perform. So I think being able to have that skill for just being able to almost coach yourself is something that maybe needs to be taught a little bit more, like from university kids, because like it's awesome. Like it's so structured. You go to a program and they take care of you for 5 years, and they want you to succeed. And it's a whole life thing of school and being social and just like learning and getting better at volleyball. I think it's this whole like cool picture. But it's a huge change when you go overseas. So I do think just learning how to truly be a professional is learning how to kind of coach yourself and make yourself better, and knowing what you need to do to get better.
Okay. And so I think what's impressive about you when you do interviews, you talk a lot about the team and the team winning.
Hmm.
But when you go overseas, a lot of people are just focused on themselves.
Yeah.
How do you find that balance of still finding your individual performance while being team oriented? And do you think that that's a common thing out in Europe where people are team oriented, or do you kind of feel like in a lot of cases you're kind of on your own in that regard?
Yeah. 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 That's so true. I think naturally, when money's involved, you're just going to care about yourself a little bit more. And that's what's kind of cool about the national team is like, we're not playing national team for the money, we're playing it for the team and to represent your country and to go to things like the Olympics or World Championships and play in VNL. So with the professional side of things, it is a switch to turn on. Like I'll definitely kind of switch like, okay, like I'm in job mode now. This is my job. Like I think of like I'm going to work. Like I like saying like I'm going to work because that's what I'm doing. And even though I love it and it's fun and all those things, I think just to keep that motivation, it's like, okay, I'm going to work. I need to do this to be good at my job. I want to be good at my job because I just value that. And yeah, I think that's super important. And yeah, the cool thing though, like about volleyball is like if the team's doing well, you're probably doing okay, unless like you get benched and someone else starts over you and but then they'll still be happy that the team's doing well, I think, at least in my experience. So I don't know, that's a tough question. Yeah, it is a balance. It really is a balance. And honestly, I think having a family has really helped me with that. Like separating work and home has been huge for me to just like decompress and not get so stressed out and like hyper focused on it. Um, that's what actually the libero on my Ravenna team, my first year, his name's he's the libero for Slovenia, Yanni Kovacic. He uh, he said the sooner he like separated the two, like the more success he had. And having like a kid to come home to kind of forces you to do that. Like I'm not just gonna come home and just be the grouch dad because I had a bad practice and like I'm gonna come home and I gotta put a smile on my face. I gotta play like little mini hoop basketball and he doesn't care that I had a bad practice or a bad game or yeah that I'm just like frustrated with something. Like he just wants me to be his dad. So I think that's been something big for me to help me separate the two, and then give me kind of that like reboost for the next day to just do it all over again. Um, but I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So going into the kind of the last part of the podcast,
Okay.
what I was thinking is I would show you a video,
Okay.
and you have to determine what kind of serve you're hitting, either float or spin,
Ooh, okay.
and where you hit it. Because
Okay.
I think a lot of people, when you get to the line, have some trauma, and they never know what's going to happen. Anything can happen at any time. No one is safe.
Yes.
And I think it'd be interesting to see if you can also read yourself in those situations.
Cool.
So to intro into that, when you go back to serve, what is your thought process on who you're serving, how you're going to serve them? Does it have to do with the moment in the game or with how you're doing, or if you spot a weakness in someone that you want to exploit? Can you take us through kind of your process for serving?
Yeah. Yeah, sure. So I think, yeah, I think over the years, it's become as I've gotten more confidence maybe in my own serve, it's definitely become like, okay, who am I serving? Like, where am I serving? What kind of the same mindset I have with myself is like, what's the weakest like link over there, and how can I exploit it, and how can I stay on this baseline as long as possible? That's kind of my mentality. Now, depending if maybe I'm having an off game, or Thomas, for example, sometimes if we're playing some passers who struggle passing float with their arms, he'll want me to hit some hybrid. So that varies. But if it's just me and I'm going back there, I'm definitely thinking of where to serve, what's the weakest area, how can I stay there the longest, and then I like trying to be creative. Like my this is from a mental coach, but he's like, amaze yourself from the baseline. Like, go back there and amaze yourself. So that's literally like what I'm thinking of when I'm spinning the ball. I'm like, amaze yourself, and then just do something cool. So
Oh, that's cool. You're definitely amazing the crowd. I don't want you to cheat.
okay,
So what then I didn't want you to see would be a game the best game of the summer
for me personally,
for
for the team.
just when you think of the summer was successful and my favorite game to play in was
I loved our game against Brazil. 3-0 against Brazil
yes.
was a good one.
I actually started downloading this game. I was going to do
Yes.
your attacks in this game because you had a
Okay.
really good attacking
Yeah.
game. I think you had like 16 kills or something that game.
Okay.
But then the video was like not working.
Oh
so,
no!
so
Oh no!
I didn't choose this one.
Okay.
I chose the USA game.
Oh yeah, totally.
This was a really special game to watch.
Yeah.
It was so exciting. The crowd was energetic. They were into it.
Yeah.
You guys were just doing your thing. It was like poetry.
Yeah.
And you had some really good serves in this game as well.
Okay.
So I thought that this would be a good one. So what I'm going to do is record so that we can overlay it on the podcast as well.
Awesome.
So it's going to show you serving and then it's going to stop.
Okay.
And then when it stops, you need to think about where you served
Okay.
and how you served it there.
Okay.
So let's see if I can stop it in time.
All right. I think. Oh man, I think this one's going towards Jeski.
Okay, so that's in kind of 5-6 there. Oh, nice one. I forgot to tell you what kind of serve as well.
Okay. 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 This is spin serve, and I think I'm going more at Russell here in 1.
Okay, let's look.
Okay.
Oh, 6-1. Another really good serve though. So we're 1 for 2. I forgot we need to keep score.
Okay,
we're playing a game.
Okay.
1 for 2.
1 for 2.
1 for 2.
I think this one is a short serve to 3.
Short to 3. How did you know that? That was crazy. Holy cow. Okay, other side now.
All right, I think this is spin to 6-1.
Spin to 6-1. The score is 2-1 right now.
Okay.
For you. Okay, that was a spin to 6. We'll give you that one.
Okay.
3-1.
Maybe it's cheating if I'm saying 2 positions. Maybe I should say 1 position. I think it's a spin to 5-6-1.
But I mean, they're standing also not in perfect symmetry,
Sure.
and you hit seam. So
Sure.
I don't even know how you would guess.
Yeah, I think this is float to 5.
Float to 5. Ace to 5.
There we go.
Wow, you're on fire right now.
All right, I think this is. I want the serve to go to 1. Let's go. I'm gonna say like 6-1. I'm hoping Tom takes it, but
Okay.
yeah. No, right at 6. Shoot. All right, this is spin. I'm thinking 5-6.
Oh, look at that. 5-2 right now in the score.
Okay.
You're killing. I do not think it's possible to lose. I think there's only 9.
Okay, there we go.
So you did win, but let's go for bonus rounds.
Yes. All right, this is spin to 6-1.
Okay, this is too easy. No one is able to read you except for you.
Yes.
This is insane. There was actually a really funny moment. Nick Hogue went in to serve at the end of one of the games. We were watching it as a next gen group, and he went in, served 2 bombs, and then it was match point. And Glenn was just sitting back there, and he goes, "Roll short." What happens? Rolls it short, ace for the win.
No
and everyone was
way.
like, he just like casual, just like, it's gonna be a roll short.
No way.
And then it actually happened. I was like, this was a really special moment.
Oh,
Like,
that's
hope people
so
could
cool.
appreciate that.
That's so cool.
Okay.
All right, I'm thinking same thing, like 6-1 seam.
Oh, the 1 seam.
One seam.
Okay, I think this is the last one.
I'm thinking similar serve as the last one. And spin.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting. I get too excited. This is 6.
6.
Okay. Well, congratulations, though.
Thank you.
You are the champion. This is fantastic.
There we go.
So you can enjoy this cup for many years.
I will enjoy it.
That'll be great.
I will.
Thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're very busy preparing for the Olympics, recovering from practice. I think you have a lot going on with your family and all this stuff. So I really appreciate your time.
Of course.
This was so much fun, and I hope people can learn from your experiences.
It was amazing. I had a blast. This was awesome. Thanks for doing this, Chris.
Let's do it again anytime.
Let's do it again. Yes. I'm in.
Awesome. Thank you.
Of course.